Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor from IamTomTaylor.com.
I'm Pete from PeteRemembers.com.
I'm Gerry Porter from Hazelshood.com.
And I'm Scott Rosann from The Joke in Your Mind is Better Than Any Joke I Could Tell.
It is pretty great, The Joke in My Mind.
It's a good one, right?
It is. That was classic. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We are here to discuss Minute 40. Scott has been kind enough to come back and join us for Minute 40, closing
Thanks,
out the
guys.
week with us.
It's been fun.
It has
Oh,
been.
yeah, yay.
But the fun stops now. No, that's not true. Minute 40 begins with one of the Germans directing people to go after Marion, and it ends with Marion being sold out by a monkey. And that's the first thing I wanted to mention in this, is that we've been wondering, like, what is the Germans' end game? We assume they're trying to kill Indy and kill Marion, or at least get them out of the way somehow, break their legs or something. But at the beginning of this minute, Marion's going off on her own in the impossibly stocked hay cart, and the German immediately starts directing guys after her.
Right.
Like, without Indiana Jones, is she considered at all a target or a worthy somebody to get out of the way?
Well, according to her pants. That was established a couple minutes ago.
Get me that Space Invaders shirt.
Yeah. I mean, she is
Schnell.
the target.
That's like waving a red pair of pants in front of a Nazi.
Or, or does, look, maybe, Tote doesn't have the medallion. And it is technically Marion's.
I was going to say, I think they think
Yeah,
she's got it.
they think Marion has the medallion, the headpiece to the Staff of Ra.
Yeah, but they don't seem to be worried that they don't have the headpiece because of Tote. They seem to be moving along we'll find this out later, but they seem to be pressing ahead as though they have all the answers and that they don't need anything from them.
Well, they might get lucky. I mean, they make it. Sala made it sound like the excavation was enormous, and so maybe they get lucky.
All right.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. They need something. Yeah, her pants. That's my answer. Her pants.
They want to play Space Invaders.
Yeah,
Sure.
they do.
But at the beginning of this minute, and Pete, you mentioned this last minute. Marion does jump out of the cart.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Well, eventually, I mean, it looks like it's hard to tell, but it looks like she goes 100 feet or something, 100 yards maybe.
Yeah.
And then she jumps out, and then you're like, well, what was it, a dead end?
It sort of looks like it's a quieter
did the horse
spot
stop
or something.
running, or?
Right.
Well, not really, actually.
And then she has an audience when she jumps out. There's that whole line of guys, and they're just they're all lined up waiting for her to jump out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very grand, too, the Arabian stallion cantering into view. And, they're also looking at that hay going like, wow, look at all that hay.
Look at all that.
A lot of money there.
I could never drink that much hay. Look at it.
And they're all sort of pastel color coordinated.
She hops out of the cart, and she sees a guy running towards her down the alley, down the street, and she immediately goes after a weapon, one of the famous frying pans from the Frying Pan Festival. Why does she assume that guy is coming after her? Because he's not dressed at all like the black hooded assassin guys.
That's a good point.
And he could be running from those guys too. He could be like, "Hey, everybody's freaking out over there! Run for your lives!"
Hey, your friend's back over here. I'll take you back.
Yeah. Indy says, "Follow me."
I think they want my headpiece.
Yeah.
I think. Well, maybe she was
They're going nuts for
just
headpieces.
playing it safe.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't attack him. I guess she sort of strikes a defensive pose with her
It does. Yeah.
cutlery.
It does look
cooking
defensive, but
Yeah.
Well, and she swipes the pan, and maybe the cart guy is blind or something. He doesn't seem to care.
He doesn't seem to react at all.
No, or maybe he's like, you know what, you need to arm yourself. Maybe he's kind of goes along. He's like, he knows that there's a bad guy, coming down the street.
He is pretty gangster too, because he's got that sweet kind of that pinstripe tunic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, the
Beautiful.
assassin does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a multicolored pinstripe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's more like a baseball uniform than a,
But like
pajamas.
a nice one, like a really nice one.
Yeah. Cubs.
Yeah. He's got a pretty lousy fake laugh too, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh, come on. I love his fake laugh.
He's thinking about his teeth.
Yeah.
He's laughing at his teeth.
He's crying while he laughs.
I laugh to keep from crying.
Wait, I have an amazing question here.
I'll be
Is
the
the
judge.
scimitar in his butt?
Wow. I didn't think I was going to hear that when I woke up this morning.
Where is
That's the title of this
the
episode.
scabbard?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
He pulls it like was he just like, I'm gonna run down the street hiding this thing?
Right.
I'm going to run as smoothly as I can.
Yeah, hiding this thing.
I never fall backward.
I mean, where is it? Was it just in his hand the whole time? But I'm gonna hide it, or where there's no holster.
He's got like a
I
fanny
said, no
pack or
scabbard.
something.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it
look
was like a
somewhat
true
of
fanny pack, like an actual fanny
The
pack.
original fanny pack.
Let me take this plastic off first. Okay.
I'm just
All
watching
right,
it. It looks like there's a little bit of like when he runs down
No,
the street. you
I
can't-
looked at
No,
it.
you're
I didn't
right.
see anything.
You're right. It was his butt.
Well,
You're right.
I was going to say he's running full run.
That's why he's laughing. He's like, I
shot.
finally got this thing out of my butt.
That guy can make a lot of money in
Feels
prison.
good. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Turkish prison.
Right.
There are lots of things. By the way, it's like if there was going to be a fanny pack, you'd see it, coming right up, because this guy is like, he turns his back to camera. He falls back into the frame. He's like, he is everywhere where if you had knives on your person, you're a wreck. You're just ribbons. So,
Right. He's lucky he took that thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. She saved his life, really.
He's a hero.
Yeah.
This whole scene confuses me because she runs away and, he chases her and you're like, oh, she's going down that alley thing into the, under the archway.
Right.
And then not the very next frame, she's outside again.
Well, that's something. Yeah, I thought the same thing, and it's going to end up veering back to a discussion of editing again, and I apologize for that. But it's amazing. You're right. She runs into one type of doorway that clearly is the entrance to a building.
Yeah.
And then she winds up in, there are lots of alleyways in this this little town, which is doubling for the huge city of Cairo. So there are all these alleyways. Like, we've set up alleyways as a visual thing, but the thing that she emerges into is such a wide alleyway, because once she does away with him and pulls him into the doorway and then runs to where the baskets are, it's this enormous wide open, it's almost like a courtyard.
Yeah.
And there's no way that little door that she ran into is leading to that thing. Like, it just doesn't look right at all.
Well, it seems bigger where the baskets, I'm looking at it right now, it looks bigger where the baskets are because it's actually an intersection of a couple of alleys. So I wonder if, like, at the end where she entered, if that was narrower and that would make more sense as an entranceway or something.
Well, even you put it this way, you have to work hard to concoct a story about there's an archway leading, maybe it went outside, or maybe I'm not familiar with the streets of Cairo in 1936.
Yeah.
But you're like, she clearly goes under an archway that looks like it's leading into a building, and it's like, it's dark in there. So you're
That's
like,
right.
okay, it's enclosed, whatever it is. And then the very next thing, she's outside.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's weird.
It's just a little clumsy.
But then seriously, if you follow this all the way through the rest of the minute, and this was something I mentioned my son in the last episode, and I was trying to point this out to him as well, is that none of the shots match. And this was something that on the set, I had just read something about this, where continuity was, the continuity person on set was constantly saying to Steven Spielberg, it's not going to cut. Like, these things don't match. And
wow.
Spielberg, I think, fairly famously said to her, and I can't pull her name, unfortunately, but pretty famously said, well, if that's what they're thinking about, we've lost them.
Yeah,
and it really is
point.
true. Like, if you go through this minute, and I'm just kind of scrolling through it right now, and the physicality of it, of the spaces. So she conks the guy on the head. He falls what looks like very painfully onto his back and slaps his head on the pavement. She does away with him. She goes, does a little half run, goes into where the baskets are. The Nazis run past her, and then it cuts to a series of shots where, when the assassins run past and you see the monkey in the foreground, it's a totally different kind of door than the one she came out of. And there's a big second archway next to that wasn't there a second ago. And then the Nazis run down the street, and these shots are interrupted with little tiny shots of, okay, the monkey is going to go and climb on some baskets. So it disrupts the visual continuity of where everyone's running. And then when you see the Nazis, it's like, well, they're running down a really long street that couldn't have been where she came from. And then you cut back to the monkey. Then you cut back to the guys, and it looks like they're in still another alleyway, like a different one entirely, and they deliver their line. So it's all going on. None of it matches, and the continuity person was right, and that's her job to sort of say that on set. But ultimately, you just don't care. And I don't think there's any one of us who even now watches this and doesn't feel totally satisfied by what they're seeing.
Right. This is the first time I've had this conversation since seeing the movie in 1981. So it's like the first time any of this occurred to me.
Yeah.
That is true, except, and I think we can all let's see if we can come to a consensus. One of the most important parts in this minute is that singular, shot where Marion goes into the door, and maybe 1 second later, she cudgels the guy.
Right.
And I said cudgel. I just wanted to say that today.
Verb to noun.
Sure. Yeah. No, and you're like,
check that
so
off your
what?
list.
We never know what happens. Yeah, exactly. With a frying pan. So, no, we never know. I mean, we all know what happens, but you never really know what happens. And so you kind of make the story up, and you're like, shouldn't have it taken, maybe it should have been an extra 3 seconds or 4 seconds. I don't know. But what does she actually do?
Well, she waits for him to laugh again. Right?
Yeah. Like, she goes
she
into the
admires
door
his
and
teeth.
immediately steps to the left. Yeah. And then just hammers him.
Right.
And she's walking out before he hits the ground.
No, it's really, I was going to say, how does she manage to grab him, secret him away, drag him over that weird threshold? It looks painful, by the way. I for a minute, I thought, like, that's got to be a dummy or something, because that guy hits that thing hard. It's like he hits his hands, the back of his head, and his head.
They do that really well in this movie. They got face plants and they got back head plants.
Yeah.
And they're all really good. They're all really well done.
Yeah, and the sound in this minute, or this part, is fantastic. Like, whenever you read the word bonk in a comic book, that's what it sounds like.
This is a literal bonk.
It is a very classic. Like, I don't know. I haven't really read up on what Ben Burt. He's always using something else. It's like, oh, that's not the sound of Jabba the Hutt. That's my wife's macaroni and cheese. And it's like, well, what did you use to make the frying pan sound? And it's someday we're going to read that, like, oh yeah, no, I just walked up to Steven Spielberg with a mic and a frying pan and just bonk.
Yeah. It's either that or it's a slow motion chicken. A bear in reverse. That makes a frying pan sound.
It's such a great Looney Tunes moment too. It is really like that. Just, it's similar to her rising up in frame with that look on her face. It's one of these things that tells you, don't take this too seriously.
Right.
Well, that and when the Nazis, when the monkey starts, screaming and alerting the Nazis to, Marion's whereabouts, and they stop in that straight up Scooby-Doo, fashion, like, oh, hey, whoa.
Right.
We're about to go
Is
over
that Frank Welker back there? Oh.
Yeah. The whole thing is cartoonish.
No, it really is.
That's why it's so tough when the guy gets skewered last minute.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they're playing on our on our different senses. It's like, yeah, they'll give you Looney Tunes in 1 second and then blood, in the next. And that,
And can anybody name a movie where there's been a more odious monkey? In this minute, because you're sitting there as like you're 10 or whatever, and you're like, God damn that monkey!
I remember feeling that way.
I mean, just everybody, and you're almost sitting in there in the theater, and you're just screaming at, "Shut up, monkey!"
I
Whose
totally
side are
remember
you on,
that.
monkey? Yeah, she loved that monkey. She loved that monkey.
Well,
Indy didn't care,
and
but
the
she loved
irony,
him.
of course, is she says, the monkey's smart. And you're like, smart enough to, cause your demise.
Is she in that basket thinking like, Jesus, first Indiana Jones and now this monkey? I sure can't pick him. Everybody's screwing me over.
She punches the monkey in the mouth.
Yeah, I learned to hit you in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, both of them can't keep their freaking pants on.
That's going in the vault, Gerry. All right, I'm worried about Marion. Good minute.
Yeah.
Good week. This is an excellent week of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Scott.
So much fun. Thanks for having me. It's so much fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Hey, if you want to come back for Temple of Doom, I don't know how you feel about that sort of thing, but when we get there, we'll give you a call.
I would love to. I am a big Temple of Doom fan, and I know all the problems with it, and I still like it.
Right.
Are there minutes you would like to come back for specifically in that movie?
Ooh, God. You got me on the spot.
Is it the one where Indy goes, what's her name, Willie? She goes, Indy, right? I'm right here.
Oh yeah, that's
that messed me up for years.
That's not the finest moment. It's like if these movies got more and more shticky as they went along, like that was the signpost. That and the scene around the campfire where she's they're sort of swapping their backstories.
Right.
And by the way, in a way that we just got done talking about how economical Indy and Marion, their discussion of their past is done in 4 lines of dialogue, spread across 2 scenes. And then you get 45 minutes of sitting around a campfire with Kate Capshaw telling a story about her grandfather, and there's snakes, and there's elephants, and there's people running around, and it is a disaster. It is a bad scene.
Not since Star Trek V has there been such a riveting campfire scene.
Oh boy! Somebody get the marshmallows. Yeah, s'mores of death.
Space s'mores, they call them.
Space s'mores. On the Star Trek V minute.
Star Trek V. Well, listen.
Anyway,
I'd
I'd love to come back. Thank you to answer your question.
Yeah,
I would love to. This has been so much fun, guys. Thank you.
We'll find a tidy spot for you in the Temple of Doom somewhere. That sounds evil, but I mean it in a good way. Pete,
Thanks.
how can people get in touch with us and tell us what an awesome job we're doing?
Well, one thing I was noticing with this minute is there are very few places where you can watch a movie and then actually go visit that movie and really feel like you're in the movie. But I've been looking at pictures online of Cairo, Tunisia, where they filmed these scenes. Sure. And I'll post on our website some scenes of what it looks like today. And it's pretty spectacular. It looks exactly like the movie.
Oh, awesome.
So check us out at IndianaJonesMinute.com and look in our library, and you will find that information there.
Awesome. And come back here next week for Minute 41 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Bonk.
Right.
Doing.
Odious monkey, odious monkey.
They never sing Odious Monkey in the movie. Never once. It's a little
Doodly-doo.
Cudgeled.
Cudgeled.